This portrait right here belongs to a man who is, without a doubt, one of the most emblematic figures in Japanese history. He's famous for being not only one of the primary examples of the samurai philosophy and their way of life, but also for being an exceptionally gifted warrior, most commonly known for being able to wield 2 katanas and for winning over 60 consecutive duels to the death against his adversaries. This is Miyamoto Musashi. As I've mentioned in some of my previous videos, I currently live in Tokyo, Japan. I've been doing so for a handful of years, and maybe because of that I've also become very interested in its culture and its history, and of course a very significant part of that culture is the samurai. And one of the most famous members of this enigmatic caste of warriors is without a doubt Miyamoto Musashi. He was not only a warrior, he was also a great artist, poet and writer, and in fact he wrote a book called The Book of Five Rings, in which he writes a series of tenets that you have to live in order to become not only a great samurai warrior, but also an exemplary human being. So today I would like to go through some of these ancient tenets to share with you how they can help us tackle some of the obstacles and struggles that we face in our modern lives. And so our first point is the acceptance of reality. In the Book of the Five Rings, Musashi actually writes as his first tenet, do not think dishonestly. According to history, Musashi was a very pragmatic individual, and his philosophy aligned very much with that of Marcus Aurelius and the Stoics of ancient Greece. And so in this context, not thinking dishonestly doesn't simply mean that you should be honest with yourself or not have any kind of impure thoughts. It actually rather means that you should try to take things as they are, as they present themselves in your life, instead of trying to influence them with your perceptions or expectations, which is actually seen as a dishonest act. In the context of, say, depression, many people who suffer from depression actually face feelings of shame and denial, but only by facing the truth of your mental health you can begin your journey to recovery. And so recognizing that depression is actually a mental condition and not a character flaw is the first step in trying to find a path forward. And our next point is embracing adversity. The samurai actually believed that facing adversity head-on was an opportunity for growth. Similarly, those of us who might suffer from depression can view the challenges as an opportunity for personal development. Depression is without a doubt a formidable adversary, but like the samurai, we can also learn resilience and inner strength from those struggles. I'm often reminded of a phrase that I heard once from Alex Hormozi when he was describing how many people tend to avoid facing difficult challenges in life and how he deals with that. And he says, this is what hard feels like. When many people set goals in life, they say they know it's going to be hard without actually fully understanding it. And so when things get hard, they either give up or they stop being as motivated to achieving it. But you have to remember that hard things are going to be uncomfortable, they're not going to feel good, and they are going to be hard. So we have to become accustomed to remembering what hard feels like. And only then you can turn that resistance into a path for growth. Our next step is living in the present moment. Now, I'm sure this is a phrase you've heard many times before, but Musashi, again very much like the Stoics, actually talked a lot about being in the present moment here and now. Depression can often lead us about rumination and thinking about our regrets from the past or our anxieties about the future. But practicing mindfulness, like the samurai did through their multiple rituals and disciplines, can actually ground us in the present moment, providing a relief from the relentless stream of negative and intrusive thoughts. So especially today in this very high-paced society, it's important to be able to take a moment and distance yourself from all the noise of daily life and ground yourself in the present. You can do some meditation exercises, you can go out for a walk to clear your head, but it's very important to give yourself enough time to process the process and digest everything that's going on in your life at the moment. And our next point is to remind ourselves of the importance of self-reflection. Constant self-improvement through self-reflection was a central theme in Musashi's philosophy. And for those suffering with depression, self-reflection is an essential tool to understanding the cause of your current circumstances. Exploring your emotions, understanding your triggers, and recognizing negative thought patterns can actually aid you in finding new coping strategies. For example, very often when one of my students makes a mistake, I tell them, all right, very well, I see that you understand that something is wrong, but what is it and what do we need to do to fix it? And the same thing applies for our mental health. Very often we feel that we are becoming anxious or we're heading towards a dark place without really understanding the origin of it. So if you don't self-reflect to understand what is causing these reactions, then we will also not understand what we need to do to fix it. And that's why our next point is the importance of finding purpose. The samurai pursued a philosophy called Bushido, literally meaning the way of the warrior, as their purpose in life. Finding meaning and purpose can provide a sense of direction for people with depression. And so by defining certain goals and trying to align your actions with those objectives, it is possible to rebuild a sense of purpose. For you, that could be seen as simply going out for a walk, cleaning your house or making your bed. It could literally be anything. But setting a goal and having a direction to move towards helps give you a sense of stability and purpose. But more importantly, accomplishing those objectives actually makes you feel good and motivates you to set even more goals and continue moving forward. And our next point is the importance of balance and moderation. Miyamoto Musashi stressed endlessly the importance of balance and moderation in life. In fact, in the Book of Five Rings he writes, "In all matters of life, remain without preference," which again goes very much in hand with the standards of the ancient Stoics like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca and Epictetus. Now, remaining without preference does not mean indifference. It means simply not allowing your emotions to take control of your circumstances, and instead trying to observe them and assimilate them without any personal influence. Remember that for the Stoics, as well as for Musashi of course, there are no good or bad experiences. There are just experiences, and it's us, through our human perceptions, who categorize them as good or bad. If you are struggling with depression, this could imply that even though your ultimate objective is to heal, instead of simply rejecting your depression, actually contemplating it and trying to see its potential for growth could be a very powerful tool that could help you emerge as a stronger human being on the other side of it. And so our next point is building resilience through solitude. In the life of the average samurai, moments of solitude were actually cherished for self-reflection. So whenever you're feeling alone, embracing that solitude can actually be a very powerful way to reflect and heal. And remember that taking time for self-care and introspection can aid in your journey to recovery. But depression is far from the only challenge that we face in our day-to-day lives. So if you'd like to see how the way of the samurai can help you in many other aspects in your life, and learn how the samurai followed this path to lead an exemplary life, then make sure you watch this video right here. In the meantime, take care, and I'll see you next time.